Protect your car with 3W Liners all-weather floor mats. Made from durable materials like TPE and rubber, our mats are designed to withstand rain, snow, and mud with deep grooves to trap dirt and liquids. For a custom fit and advanced protection, visit 3W Liners. That's the number 3, WLINERS.com today. At Acasis, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit Acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. From gourmet snacks to unique finds, each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.
Yes, sir. It is the Cam Show. A little ditty we like to call the Cam Show. I'm Cam Stewart. Zach Burke alongside, keeping us on the air. Zach, how are you on this Tuesday? I'm bringing you in right off the top.
Yeah, you had to give me a little bit. I'm doing good. How are you?
You are in this show. You're doing all right.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. Yeah, it snowed a little bit, or whatever you want to call it. It was like, a little bit of precipitation that sticks. So sleet, whatever you want to call it.
That's fun. It's -7 here.
Oh, no, it's still in like
and that's just the real temp. That's just the temp. That's not the real feel. The real feel currently is -18. So not a lot going on today.
The real feel, like,
it's like a wind chill.
I know, but it's like it could feel like this, but this is the real feel. I don't know. It's stupid. Also, how can something?
I think it's really helpful, Zach. I think it's really helpful.
Hear me out. How can something feel colder than it actually is? Isn't that just a little bit of an oxymoron in a way of like, hey, it's 32 outside, but it feels like it's 17. Then why don't we just agree and say that it's 17 outside if that's what it feels like?
That's a better argument. It's a better argument.
Okay.
Is it subjective? Because I walk out there and be like, it feels like 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's something to think about. Like, it gives you something to chew on throughout this camp show.
It's either that or you're just like a soup. I mean, we spent a long time on that.
And people will be saying it's a tough week for that, to not like soup. But I'm gonna live. I'm gonna live. I think we have some hot chocolate.
Which
I could do that
if you add marshmallows to it, isn't that just chocolate soup then?
Yeah, kind of. I don't usually do that, but yeah, I guess it could be. You know what I've been thinking about the last couple of days, Zach, is like Russia in the past.
Yeah.
Like they've done pretty well in scientific advances. They did have Sputnik and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think of like the space race between
and they have no humanitarian laws or anything. So in theory, they should be making even more scientific advancements, right?
Sure.
I gotta believe there's some doctor or vet in Siberia has to have made something by now where you can potty train your dog to use the human toilet. Because like I walk out here to take the dog out, it's dangerous. It's -10 degrees. Like that's not good for a human. Dog, it's kind of fine. I wouldn't say they love it, but Zach is frozen on the screen here just to prove the point of how cold it is. I just can't believe that nobody's come up with something to where you can get an obedient dog to just piss in the toilet. It's killing us to go out there 4 or 5 times a day. Killing us, man. Takes longer to bundle up than it is to actually, for the dog to actually go to the bathroom. Kicking Zach out of here. Kicking Zach out. Anyway, another thing I've been thinking of other than Russia's scientific advancements, another thing I've been thinking of this week is the Washington Commanders. And man, what a story. Not that the Commanders have ever been like a Destiny's darlings the way, the Bills are and of course inevitably the Packers sometimes become. But this is an awesome story. The Lions would have been another good one. This is a good story that the Commanders here, after a 4-13 record in 2023, are playing for a trip to the Super Bowl this weekend. And it keeps me up at night because they were 4-13. The Patriots were 4-13. The Commanders did their 4-13 better because they got the number 2 pick. Had picked a guy I think the Patriots probably would have selected it too as well. But again, okay with Drake May. I'm okay with having Drake May. That's okay for me. But what I hate is that they both go into the season with a rookie quarterback. They had a rookie quarterback ready to go. They both went in with a new head coach. The Patriots decided to elevate an outside linebackers coach, whatever the hell, who had never even been a coordinator before. And the Commanders went out there and got a guy who had been a head coach of the NFL, who had coached in a Super Bowl before and had some pretty successful defenses in Dallas. So 2 defensive coordinator stats for Dan Quinn, both quite successful. Good teams in Dallas, won a Super Bowl as a coordinator with Seattle, had been a head coach before, had coached in a Super Bowl before. And you stack all that up on one side, and Robert Kraft went with the side of, I liked how this guy interacted with adults in Israel 5 years ago. Let the Patriot way roll on. I've tried to not let the Patriots frustrate me here in the month of January because they did it, so much in that final weekend of the season. And for the whole 17 weeks of the season, they made our lives miserable. But I can't help but get frustrated at that. And it's because, Jayden Daniels was better than Drake May. Yep. Dan Quinn, better coach than Gerard Mayo. Sure. There would have been plenty of skepticism if you brought Dan Quinn in here, but at least he had a resume. And what frustrates me even more so is that Washington had some structure in place. This is the most unstructured franchise of my lifetime. And they had a better structure in place to go out and win than the Patriots did going into 2024. Defined roles with GM, player personnel, someone that they had actually brought in whose dad didn't get him a job. They had all of this laid out, and they went out and they spent money in free agency. They went in and they got some veteran guys, right? Bobby Wagner and Dorrance Armstrong, who had a good season for them. Zach Ertz is a nice safety blanket for Jayden Daniels. They don't go out. They didn't need to go out and get, these big time money moves. They went out and they made some smart football decisions on some veteran guys. Wake up the echoes of George Allen here, over the hill gang. And here they are, a 1 win from the Super Bowl. And the Patriots instead re-signed they fire Belichick. They tell you about how bad the regime was at the end. They tell you how how the guy left you with nothing. And all they do is go and re-sign all of his guys. All the guy, the boogeyman that left you with nothing. That's how you're reinforcing your roster. You go out and re-sign these guys. You franchise tag these guys. And you're signing Chuks Okorafor off the street, who ditches the team after one regular season game. And Washington went and got Dorrance Armstrong and Zach Ertz. And this is what I mean, man. I know it's not Dan Snyder in there anymore, but to think that 2 years removed from that absolute dumpster fire, they are in a much better situation than the Patriots are. It's mind-numbing, man. It's got to be frustrating. So now I wonder, can the Patriots make a similar leap to what Washington did this year? Because the way I look at it, there's no reason why not. It would be pretty stunning if they got there. But it's also pretty stunning that Washington's there right now. Okay. And I feel for the Cowboys fans, all NFC East matchup in the conference championship, and they're not in it. I'm just kidding. I don't feel bad for them. But anyway, looking back at the Patriots here, they have the young quarterback. I think we can all agree that Drake May's talent level is somewhere near Jayden Daniels, even though Daniels had a much better year, had much better support around him. But the talent level's not far off, I don't think, from Drake May. You have a new coach in here who has a resume before. Okay, he hasn't coached in the Super Bowl, but he's coached in the conference championship game, won NFL Coach of the Year before, above 500, 9 games over 500 in his NFL head coaching career, who is also a hard ass and has been there and done that, been with a couple different organizations. So already that's night and day from last year. Plus, you've got even more cap room this year than what Washington had last year. You can get some of those veterans like a Dorrance Armstrong type, and you can also get some of the big names on the market, like a T. Higgins type or a Ronnie Stanley type. And now, as we're starting to see, to use a term that I'm sure was echoed a lot yesterday on Monday, they're kind of draining the swamp a little bit in terms of how that front office is being structured now. We talked about it on the show yesterday. Robin Glazer's part of the decision-making, apparently, the last couple of years. She's been with the organization almost 20 years, and no one knows what she does, and there's all kinds of conflicting reports as to what kind of power she has over the decision-making. and Belichick drops her name and everything. And there are a bunch of people trying to tell you, oh, she has nothing to do with it. But yeah, it just so happens once we get the new coach in here, the adult in the room, she's resigning a week later. Something's up there. And I think it's for the better for the Patriots, for the best. Because now it looks like we're going to have a power structure in place. And whether Elliott Wolf survives through rookie minicamp, I don't know. But we're starting to see Vrabel bringing his guys in the front office. He brings in his Ernie Adams, the striker guy. Brings in Ryan Cowden from the Giants, player personnel guy. And I don't know why they're dragging the feet on the coordinators, but obviously you know that there's a much different Rolodex in terms of the coordinators Mike Vrabel can choose from than what Gerard Mayo could choose from. And you knew that was going to be one of the problems going into last year, and it was probably worse than we thought. Like, who wants to go and coach for Gerard Mayo? Nobody knows him. Nobody knows him outside that organization. There are guys who want to go and coach for Mike Vrabel. You know, I'm not saying he's Sean McVay, but there are coaches out there that want to go and coach for Mike Vrabel. So it would take a lot to go right, but I'm not predicting for the Patriots to be a playoff team next year because of the roster I see right now and how many holes they need to fill. But I think a lot of people in Washington were saying the same thing last year. I really do. And again, conference championship game is a miracle, but I don't think it's crazy for the Patriots to be competing for a playoff spot or in a playoff spot next year. A lot of things need to go right, but you've just seen the blueprint. Like, this is the blueprint. You've got a quarterback who is insanely accurate, like Jaden Daniels. He and Drake May, both well over 65% completion percentage, which is a good number to have, kind of a magic number. They're both, I mean, like, obviously the stats are much favored towards Jaden Daniels. He played 4 more games. That's a big part of it. But a lot of the kind of percentage stats are very similar. Talking completion percentage, 67 for Drake May, 69 for Jaden Daniels. Very nice. Passing yards or yards per attempt, passing yards per game is not that far off. Ratings not terribly far off. Rush per attempt. Both these guys can get out of the pocket a little bit. It's not that far off talent wise. And I do want to put in one last note, because I've been going back and forth on whether I want it to be Josh McDaniels as the guy, as the OC. And I just had to go back and look at 2021, because I saw a Mac Jones this year that it didn't look like he belonged in the league. And it's how quick we forget what it was like in 2021 with Josh McDaniels, when Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler and threw for almost 4,000 yards in a team with a top 5 strength of schedule in the league that year. And they finished 10-7 and went to the playoffs. Like, are you kidding me, dude? That's incredible, man. And they had, oh my gosh, they had, I think it's 3 games with over 45 points that year. 2 of them over 50. Mac Jones was the quarterback, and Jacoby Myers was their leading receiver. And they had 3 games where they went over 45 points. They went over 50 twice and went 10-7. 3,800 yards for Mac Jones, 22 touchdowns. 13 picks ain't great. Made it to the Pro Bowl, Rookie of the Year, 2nd in the voting. Like, that's miracle work when you see what Mac has become since then. So for all the naysayers on Josh McDaniels, like, I got to have a better reason other than you thinking that it's, too close to Belichick and trying to get some of the old magic in there. Because I just couldn't disagree more the more I look at the numbers. I'm ready for a Josh McDaniels reunion and ready to see what he can do with Drake May. Because if he's in there and he's got an offense tailored towards this kid, you might not need more than Pop Douglas. Probably do. But you can get to a playoff spot. I mean, you got to remember how bad the team was in 2020. They were terrible. And they went out and they got a new quarterback. and they used a bunch of free agency money to get some veteran guys in here, and they went from barely scathing to scraping out a 7-9 record with Cam Newton to making the playoffs the next year. So maybe it's not as crazy as we think. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Tell me how stupid I am, and be sure to like and subscribe along as well. The Cam Show rolls on. We're going to talk about the Bruins and a hot take from one of the top Bruins fans in NHL media. Do you want this team to win? We'll talk about that next.
Unlock your full potential with Onnit, your go-to for premium supplements, fitness gear, and wellness essentials. Whether you're training hard, recovering faster, or just looking to feel your best, Onnit has the tools you need to perform at your peak. Visit Onnit, that's ONNIT.com, and elevate your mind, body, and spirit today. Join the Daily High Club, the premier destination for glass water pipes, vaporizers, and accessories. Since 2015, we've sold over 1 million quality products and teamed up with legends like Snoop Dogg and Tommy Chong. Ready to elevate your smoking game? Visit dailyhighclub.com for our El Primo subscription box or shop unique pieces today. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Combine that with OrganicHemp.com's top quality CBD for ultimate balance. Start your healing journey today at GlobalHealing.com and OrganicHemp.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Get ready for epic savings at Best Buy. Right now, you can save up to $700 on select Alienware and Dell gaming products. Perfect for leveling up your gaming experience. Plus, grab the latest Android Google Pixel at an unbeatable price. Don't miss these incredible deals. Shop now at bestbuy.com and upgrade your tech today.
We've got all these transfer portal stats and what Dion did and what Fritz has done. I mean, that's the deal, man. That's the game that's being played nowadays.
Maybe a little bit unknown at quarterback. I mean, unknown to the rest of the world, but, you know, he dove into the portal and got a guy who is super, super athletic.
South Dakota State's really good. Give us a little bit of breakdown about what they can do and what Oklahoma State needs to be worried about.
Look at that form right there. I need to say nothing else about this because I found one.
Cam Show. Yes, it is. It's time to show Cam on the Cam Show. And I'm Cam, playing Cam. Cam Stewart, Zach Burke, alongside. Celtics got some nice revenge last night. I want to talk about that in the final segment because I gotta let me start by saying this. Let me start by speaking English. As you guys know, following the show, I do a lot of Bruins content, and I think the Bruins and the NHL as a whole are kind of criminally undercovered. Okay. There's not enough coverage out there. A lot of that's the NHL's own problem. They've been cracking down on content creators, YouTubers recently. for using NHL clips. And this is something that Bettman has been on about for a long time. And I just think it does way more harm than good to copyright claim everything that you put on YouTube, because then you're like just shutting down a key, like a key way to promote your sport. I think it's really dumb. And so therefore, ergo, the Bruins and NHL gets hugely undercovered, just does not get the coverage that I think this sport, that this product deserves. One of the great hockey shows out there is called What Chaos. It's by Pete Blackburn and DJ Beam, a couple of Boston guys. They take a look at the NHL as a whole, and, you know, they wear jerseys and nice jackets and stuff. But they do a good job. I actually really like that show. There's not many. It's that and Chicklets. Those are the only two that I think are good, like around the league coverage. But it's just guys, like just guys talking, like the way you would about any other sport. And you could find 10 or 12 other podcasts with any other sport that's just like this, but not hockey. Chicklets and What Chaos, they're the ones who've got that figured out. And Pete Blackburn has obviously a long history being a Boston guy, one of the original Section 10ers, as well as being a big Bruins fan. And as this Bruins team continues to just be stuck in neutral and win just enough games to get you believing that they might make the playoffs, only to crash and burn like they did against Ottawa, I keep returning to this question, this existential question, which is, do I want the Bruins to win? And Pete Blackburn addressed this on the show. I think this is fascinating. Here's what Pete had to say from a Bruins fan standpoint of whether he actually wants them to win.
I don't want the Bruins to make the playoffs. I just don't. I don't want. I don't think they're going to be able to be capable of making noise. I don't think that they're going to be any fun to watch. Like, they're going to be the Capitals of last year. If they get into the playoffs, they're going to get smoked in the first round by a higher seed. And it's not going to be fun for anybody. And it's going to allow the front office to kind of skate by with, well, hey, at least we got in. We got that gate revenue. The Jacobs are happy about it. We get to keep our jobs for another year. I don't want that. I really don't. And there's a chance that maybe down the stretch, they show something, they give me a spark, and I change my mind. It's quite possible. But as of right now, I'm not actively rooting against the Bruins, but I don't hope. I really am not pushing for them to get into a playoff spot, especially with other fun teams on the bubble. And I'm looking at the goddamn, this is horrible fan behavior. I love the Montreal Canadiens. They are so much fun. I want the Canadiens to get in.
Yeah, you lost me on the last part there, Pete. I will never want the Canadiens to win. Although I do agree they're fun to watch. It's a fun team to watch. And I love Lane Hutson. It's just really unfortunate that's the team that he went to. Other than that, I think Pete nails it. And I wish I could push back on a lot of this. But I think he said it so well, which is the obvious of, like, we don't want the Bruins to make the playoffs because it's just not going to do them any good, right? Like, all these guys already have some playoff experience. It's not like this is a group that has never gone, and you're trying, and you know that better days are ahead, but you need them to get in there and see what the playoffs are all about. Like, you don't need that. All these guys have been to the playoffs before. And the other part of that, within that part, is there are better days ahead. Like, you need to create better days ahead. Like, if you're outside of the Boston Bruins and you look at this team and this franchise, you'd say, why aren't they tanking? They've got a couple of foundational pieces, right? Pastrnak, McAvoy, Swayman, all of whom are in their prime and still have a couple years left in their prime. I think that's fair to say. But you have the worst prospect pool in the league. That's not an exaggeration. That's backed up by facts and figures. Worst prospect pool in the league. You have no depth guys. You have a GM who I don't know if he can identify depth talent. We haven't seen that in years. And he certainly can't replace the guys that he lets leave off the roster. So at that point, you got to be like, Donnie, if we're going to keep you here, you better nail the draft. And right now, if you're going to make the playoffs, then what's your draft capital? You know what I mean? Like, it's a team that's not good enough to make any noise in the playoffs. They don't have anything really to look forward to in the future. I mean, they still have those core guys, and Patra looks good, and Lowride's looking better. But like the prospect pool is so bad, it's not like there's real hope for the next couple of years to turn this thing around. You spend up to the cap all the time, and you don't do it very well. And so, like, if you're not just bought into this Boston Bruins thing and you're watching the team every day and you're like, yeah, but anything can happen, you'd be like, this team needs to tank. This team is better off losing. And of course, I'm not going to root for them to lose. I'm not going to watch the game tomorrow and be like, yeah, boy, I hope they lose against the Devils. No, man, you can't do that as a fan, but come what may. The other thing I thought was a really good point is they're not even entertaining, right? Like, if Montreal doesn't make the playoffs, it's almost like whatever if you're a Habs fan, because they're really easy on the eyes. They have great young talent. They have a clear direction. All these things the Bruins don't have. So if you are Montreal and miss the playoffs, it's not that big a deal. Detroit last year, the year before, that got close and got robbed of a playoff spot last year. It's like, okay, but we know that we're going to be right back in this mix. We've still got all our guys. We're a place that people are going to want to come play because they see the young talent, and we've got a good coach in here. Now they've got a good coach in there in Detroit with McClellan. But the Bruins don't have that. They don't have the tax benefits. Neither do Montreal or Detroit, obviously. They don't have the tax benefits. They don't have a coach right now that's going to be there long-term. They don't have a GM they can trust. They don't have anything that they're building. They identified the kind of team that they wanted going into this year, and it was big and slow and can't handle the puck. Like, this team has, again, I say it, for all intents and purposes, no skill. Like, yes, Pastrnak has skill. You know, Marchand on his day sometimes has skill. McAvoy, sure. But like, all in all, this team does not have any skill. To the point where you signed a center on the open market for $7 3/4 a year. $7.75 a year for Elias Lindholm to be your number one center. By Martin Luther King Day, a matinee game against one of the worst teams in the league, Elias Lindholm was your third line center. That is absolute organizational malpractice. That is an utter and complete fuck up. And that's not even talking about Zadorov. Zadorov's sitting there all pretty thinking, I'm not the worst free agent in this class for the Bruins. I'm not even the worst free agent to come from a specific team. I'm not even the worst free agent they got from Vancouver. Only one of their free agent signings looks to be just turning a corner now, and that's Jeremy Swayman. So if you look at Don Sweeney, he's a guy that doesn't draft very well. He's had one, I think, pretty impactful draft pick if you're the Bruins. Maybe two if you want to put Swayman in there. But McAvoy, about the only one. He can't draft well. He mortgages his team's futures okay. We didn't have problems with those deals at the time, right? Coyle, Rick Nash, Taylor Hall. But you didn't win anything with him. So he doesn't draft well. He doesn't necessarily trade well. And he doesn't sign free agents very well. Like, hasn't signed a single, like, impactful free agent for a couple of years. Like, I'm talking a guy who came in here as a free agent on a serious deal and was good for the team for 3 or 4 years. He hasn't done that once, not one time. Okay? David Backes, Matt Bolesky, Elias Lindholm, Nikita Zadorov, Linus Ullmark. That's the only one. I'll give you Linus Ullmark. He won the Vezina. That's it. And then you traded him, and you probably lost that trade. You traded him to a team that is in your division that's going to make the playoffs over you this year you forced this deal to get they gave up no good player on their end, really. I mean, Kastelik's fine. And you got the number 25 pick in the first round that you went and chased a center, a high school center who is not playing juniors this year. He's being a healthy scratch at BC with 2 points this year. That's what you got for Linus Ullmark. And you're hoping he can be an NHL player for you in 4 years. Hoping? Here's to hoping. But you've seen the development under this staff before. Meanwhile, Cole Hudson's picked behind him. BU led the World Juniors in points. And you missed out on Lane Hudson. You knew he had a younger brother with just about the same skill set, playing at the same college in your backyard, and you picked Dean Letourneau over that because you want a center. You're chasing a position 4 freaking years out. It's total malpractice. And so at this point, do I want them to make the playoffs? In a backwards way, I love playoff hockey. I love having the Bruins in the mix. And anything can happen, but it really can't. With this team, it can't. And Pete's last great point was this. If they do make the playoffs, that is going to let everyone off the hook. Because that's all the Jacobs care about. They're going to tell you they want to win the Stanley Cup. They don't. They don't give a shit about that. They want the team to make the playoffs. They want the playoff gate. And they'd really like 2 rounds of the playoff gate. Other than that, that's gravy. Just gravy. And so if they do sneak into the playoffs the way Washington did last year as one of the worst playoff teams ever, then all's forgiven. Everyone keeps their jobs. We'll run this thing back. We'll retool. Whatever the F that means, man. No idea what that means. Just a way to cover our ass when we suck. Retooling. Hockey trades. I'm telling you, we're kind of teetering on something here. Like, the way they handle this offseason could really change what the Bruins are. And by the way, that Capitals team, that was probably the worst playoff team ever last year, they're one of the best teams in the East this year. So maybe there's that turnaround, but I just doubt it with this prospect pool. You got to go out there and you've got to make some big time trades. I'm talking about maybe one of your core pieces, maybe cut bait with Elias Lindholm or Zadorov, get a dynamite coach in here that people are going to want to play for, and get some damn prospects, get some damn draft picks, and figure this thing out, hopefully without Don Sweeney. But right now, if I had to choose just based off the future, the 3 to 5 year future of the Boston Bruins, I wouldn't want them to make the playoffs this year. And to be quite frank with you, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs. They're not a good enough team to be in the playoffs. This is not a very good hockey team, man. They don't deserve to be in there. Trust me. Do the Celtics deserve to be bought by FSG? That could be a fate worse than death. Let's talk about that next on The Cam Show.
Ready to bring your vision to life? At Small Rig, every idea, design, and product is inspired by you, the creator. With our industry-first under co-design mode and the Dream Rig free customization project, we unite with global creators to turn big dreams into reality. Whether it's a cage rig or mount, Small Rig's versatile gear is built to elevate your craft. Small Rig, where your creativity meets our innovation. Go to smallrig.com.
Want to turn your passion into profit? With Blogify, creating a blog has never been easier. Build, customize, and grow your site with powerful tools designed for beginners and pros alike. Start sharing your story today and watch your audience grow with Blogify. Download Blogify now in the App Store. Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Stay connected no matter where you are with eSIMX. Say goodbye to expensive roaming charges and physical SIM cards. With access to over 200 global carriers, we make mobile connectivity seamless and affordable for travelers worldwide. Join the future of communication today at esimx.com. That's ESIMX.com.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
It is Matt Mosley, and it's the Obstructed View podcast, Rogue Media Network. I think they're learning that there's really no wonderful view of me. See, I feel like they think this feed's going to be really wonderful.
There must have been, no BS, like 20 scouts, 15 to 20 NBA scouts there to see him, and he was top 5.
When your old number wasn't working, I went through various channels to track you down. So unfortunately, you can never get away from me. But I'm happy. Man. I'm happy to have you today.
No, thanks for having me. And you know we always family, no matter where I'm at.
Welcome to a special edition of the Doomsday Podcast. Look at this. We got one of the great golfers in the world, certainly one of the great pass rushers in NFL history.
But he also had a vision for you. And so it was like you had the best of both worlds, right? You had somebody on you early, and then you had somebody who was maybe more relaxed.
What were a couple of your biggest takeaways? The person you referred to that I spoke with, I've spoken to some personnel people and general managers of the league to get some, independent, objective assessments of the players the Cowboys picked, and we'll go through that. Has the general manager changed at all in the draft for him?
Nope, it's been the same since I was here the last time.
Show, Rogue Media Sports Network. Cam Stewart here on a lovely Tuesday afternoon alongside Zach Burke, who's just keeping it real. You know Zach. Just keeping it real all the time. You know him.
Until it goes wrong. And then
until it goes fake.
Are you old enough to remember? I know this is a weird thing to say, but I do know there is a little bit of an age discrepancy between us.
Yeah.
And also think about it because of Peach t-shirt that he wore today. Did you ever watch Chappelle Show?
Yeah.
So that's just what I think of as
not a ton of it.
He did when Keeping It Real goes wrong, and it was about how some guy chose to keep it real and how it failed for him, and that's just what I think of. So I only keep it the right amount of real. Didn't mean to interrupt this actual segment where you're going to get into good sports news with that.
I like when Dave Chappelle makes fun of white people.
He does do that a lot.
I do think it's pretty funny.
Accurate. Yeah,
I think it's pretty funny. It's low hanging fruit nowadays to make fun of white people, but Chappelle did it very well.
Oh, low hanging fruit.
And I mean, look. Speaking of white people,
we can speak about them.
I won't go too deep into this, but I just I do need to talk about it with somebody.
Okay.
Like it looks a lot like that kind of salute, man. Like I don't know. I don't know what other excuse you put out there. I've seen the still images. I've seen the video. I just like it is. It is. I don't. I can't tell you how many texts I sent yesterday to people just being like, no other context, but it really looks a lot like that salute. Like, it's insane, man. It's not good for whatever their brand is, or maybe it is, but I don't think it is. Anyway, I didn't watch a second of the inauguration yesterday. Nothing about the candidate. Just literally couldn't give less of a shit. I do wonder, being from a blue state, like I do wonder, because when I was in middle school, Barack Obama was elected the first time. I was in 6th grade. And we watched it on like the TV that was mounted in the corner of the room that was like 100 years old on C-SPAN because that was so objective. Yeah. I don't know if they've done that. I don't know if they did that yesterday.
So it's funny. I was
Yeah,
about to ask you about that because I remember, again, I'm a little bit older than you, but when the second Bush was elected president in 7th grade, we watched that inauguration for some reason. Like we took up a whole
You're from
class.
Texas, yeah.
Well, here's the thing though, too. We took up a whole class or a period of Texas history to
Yep.
watch the inauguration.
Hell yeah.
Did they? So let me ask that. I know that now. Did y'all take, Massachusetts history when you were in school?
Well, we took U.S. history, which is the same thing. So took Revolutionary War history. So
Yeah, fair. Well, see, again, I get that. I just don't know why we needed a whole class just about
I was so I'll
the whole year.
this goes against kind of my core beliefs, but it's kind of funny to talk about. So when I got to college at Baylor, I learned that everyone in Texas takes Texas history, which I think is a good thing. Like public schools, like I should let the state decide what the curriculum is, and if they want to know more, Texas has plenty of history, man. Like I'm okay with that. And then I would things would come up in our courses about like Lexington and Concord. People would be like, "What is that?" I'm like, okay, like I don't want you to not know your Texas history, but this is like this is the first battle of the revolution of our country's birth. Okay, like this is an important thing, and it did so happen to be about a half hour from where I grew up. But like we should know that, all right?
Yeah,
you might not need to know the Great Molasses Flood in the north end of Boston 100 years ago, but
It
probably
covered
should know that.
horses. That thing was massive. It
Yeah,
wiped
that's
out a
tough.
lot of people.
That's
And,
tough.
like, could you imagine drowning by molasses? That have to suck. But
That's sometimes how I feel when I watch Bruins, if we're being honest.
ooh, nice. I'll just add in that I did not know more about, or I don't feel like I was prepared enough when it came to just the knowledge of our great country and the history there until I got to college. And I had to take, you have to take more history classes, and I had to take another American history class. And I was like, a really great teacher, but I was like, oh shit, they didn't teach us any of this. Like, so there is definitely it seems like a more of an emphasis on state over country, which is just interesting.
But you did remember the Alamo.
You can never forget it.
I still do. I still remember it, honestly.
My favorite TikToks here lately, where it's this girl and she's standing there and she's just like, I got my keys, I got my vape, and then it just pans out and it shows the Alamo behind her and she just goes, fuck. And I die laughing every time.
Got the Alamo? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, could never. So anyway, yeah, I don't know if it was on the TVs on C-SPAN yesterday. I doubt it. I did see one last thing before you go. Speaking of W, great tweet yesterday it's like him, a video of him at the inauguration. He's like looking back. He's kind of trying not to laugh at something. And someone said this was perfect. They said, George W. Bush, born to be MLB commissioner, forced to be a war criminal. And I'm like, that's perfect, man. Cause that would be like, that's what he should be.
Oh, for sure.
Like Goodell, man, Nepo baby, right? But actually cares about baseball, like cared about the Rangers.
Yeah. He's the only
that's what
man
he
who
should have
voted for the Rangers not to be on the West Coast. Like, let's think about that too. When they were trying to reorganize the league, he was the only one who said, hey, maybe it's weird that the team that I have has to play everybody else that has a 2-hour time difference. And baseball was like, oh, George, that's silly.
You. He'd be the perfect MLB commissioner,
Oh,
man.
for sure. I will say though, you bringing it up about the inauguration yesterday made me think of it. My favorite thing to watch, oddly enough, is at like funerals of former presidents and stuff like that, is W and Michelle Obama together. It is like two kids that are like,
cake, man.
yeah. Oh, like there's one where they're like passing candy back and forth, and Barack has to kind of turn and look and like, you two, like, calm down. Like, that is perfect MLB commissioner stuff. I don't want Bud Selig. I don't want Rob Manfred, who helped the MLB get their website back and then they turned him into commissioner one day. I want a guy who was going to sit there and talk during the middle of a funeral and pass hard candy back and forth with somebody. That's
what he has over Goodell, like the resume leading up to, being the governor of Texas, is pretty similar to Goodell's.
Very much.
But what W has as a great advantage over Goodell is he's a real person. Like, he has a personality. Like, say what you want about W, but you can't say he doesn't have a personality, man.
No.
Watch this drive. Come on.
He paints. He's choked on pretzels. Like, I know stuff about that.
Unbelievable PR, by the way, post-presidency. Unbelievable changing of the image. So he should be the MLB commissioner.
I agree. Is that something we can push for? Can we push?
I'll push for that. And he'll listen to my idea on the new season, which I got to remember what that was.
It was you wanted to start. It was when you wanted to start it. You wanted there to be meaningful baseball in September.
Yeah, I wanted to end the regular season Labor Day.
Yeah.
And some other things in there. Anyway,
all right, I'll quit distracting you so you get to Celtics.
Thanks. It's not going to take too long. There's been now conflicting reports on whether FSG, Fenway Sports Group, wants to buy the Celtics or not. It came out, Sports Illustrated article Monday, that FSG was preparing a $6 billion bid to buy the Celtics. It's not the first we've heard of Fenway Sports Group having interest in buying the team since it went up for sale right after they won the title last year. And then pretty quickly thereafter, there's a bunch of reports out of Boston, local media people saying that's not true. I'm hearing from sources that is not true. At this point, there's got to be some fire to this smoke. Like, this is the third or fourth separate time they've been mentioned as, hey, not just they're one of the groups that can buy the Celtics, but they have an interest in buying the Celtics. It's coming from somewhere. And there's nothing you can point to from their dealings that would say, no, they don't want to buy the Celtics. Like, why not? They own the Red Sox. They own the Penguins. They own Liverpool. Like, they're clearly not tied down to one team. They're not tied down to one city. They can have two very successful operations within the same city and the globe, but I wouldn't call that a successful operation. And they can control the narrative in that town. To add a second team to that, why wouldn't they? Now, from the Celtics standpoint and a Celtics fan standpoint, it could be catastrophic. I've said this on this show before. I find no good in FSG owning the Celtics. None. The only good is for the rest of the league. The only good is for those teams in the Eastern Conference that are waiting for the Celtics to tank out. Because, and I had to explain this, I'm a huge Liverpool fan, and I'm in some Liverpool group chats of fans who don't follow a lot of other sports. And I had to explain to them, like, because they get fed up with FSG, and they're like, what's the big deal with the Red Sox, and why don't the Celtics want them? And I'm like, please, how much time you got? And what it boils down to is this. The NBA is kind of in a unique position, even with the second apron. It's the NBA and MLB that can really kind of make or break the way they build their teams around how much the owner is willing to spend. In MLB, it's pretty obvious. You don't have a salary cap. So however much the owners want to spend, that's how much you're going to put into this, right? And hockey, there's ways to circumvent the cap. Circumnavigate, I don't think it's the right word there. And football's got a hard cap. The NBA, while the cap is getting harder, it has avenues for teams to go over that cap and pay the luxury tax, just like you have in MLB. And what FSG has shown more than anything the last 5 years is that they are completely terrified by the luxury tax. They will do anything to not go above the luxury tax. It has cost the Red Sox like legitimate opportunities at going to the World Series because they don't want to spend the money. And now you'll see it with the Red Sox. They're willing to trade all that prospect capital they've built up the last 5 years. They're willing to trade that for project pitchers rather than going out and spending market value on top-end starting pitchers. They're willing to do that all day long. They're going to tell you that they're interested in pitcher A, pitcher Y, pitcher Z, but they're not actually going to put a serious offer there. I mean, how many examples do you need? I'll give you 3 from this offseason alone. Oh, we're going to be on 2 of those 3 guys. Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Blake Snell. Shit, man, they weren't even in on Nate Eovaldi. They weren't close on any of those guys. The Celtics present an opportunity to be a dynasty in the second apron era. They can still build through that because they've got all these players, locked up. re-signed contracts. So guys that they have already had on the books, and there's still ways you can work around that with the luxury tax and the salary cap, I should say. You just have to be willing to pay the luxury tax. Wick has been willing to do that. Wick's dad probably thinks it's too much money, so now they're selling it off. The next owner has to be ready to do that, or else the Celtics could plummet as early as next year, the year after. This great team that we saw last year could be fugazi 2 years from now if they don't have the right ownership in place that is willing to spend that money. I can tell you one thing without any shadow of a doubt. Fenway Sports Group is not willing to spend that money. I feel like that guy in the hype, the U.S. military hype video, right? I'll tell you one thing for certain. Other people will be raising your sons and daughters. But in this case, I can tell you one thing for certain about Fenway Sports Group. They are not willing to pay market value for players. They're not going to do it. And with the Celtics, they've had great structure in place for decades now under Wick. I think they have a dynamite GM who's willing to make moves, who can make those tough decisions, those tough moves with the second apron and matching money and draft picks and all this stuff. I think Brad can do that. But what you need for the short and long-term future, but specifically the short-term future of this core, is you need an ownership group that is willing to hit that luxury tax and spend the money that's necessary. And I can tell you without doubt that Fenway Sports Group is not willing to do that. The proof is so much in the pudding. We have seen it with the Red Sox for years now. And it's going to be happening with the Penguins. The Penguins are letting, their stars age out gracefully, and Sidney Crosby has restructured the contract, and both the last ownership group and Fenway Sports Group has not put anything around Crosby or Malkin or Letang for the last 6 years, really. It's happening at Liverpool too. Liverpool's in a good spot right now. They could win the league title this year, but their three most important players are out of contract this summer, and they're each getting frustrated, and apparently nobody has a deal in place. Their captain, their best player, probably a top 5 player in their 130-year history, Mo Salah, their captain, Virgil van Dijk, and a local kid, a kid from Liverpool, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's about to enter into his prime. None of those three have a contract lined up. FSG. Oh, and 2 years ago, they had a chance to get the best English player in the world, and they're about $10 million off. Real Madrid got him, and now he's probably the best player in the world. Liverpool missed out on him. FSG. So say what you will about their public image or how they changed around the Red Sox and Liverpool and how they changed around those famous stadiums. All that stuff is great or bad. But one thing that I care about more than any of it all, any of it, is how much they're willing to spend on talent. And the answer is not enough. Not enough. So if they go and they own the Celtics, because there's got to be some fire here. This name keeps coming up. If they go and own the Celtics within the next year, there's probably not the Celtics dynasty that looks like it was being born last year. Probably not there. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Tell me how stupid I am. Tell me how correct I am. Be sure to like and subscribe. We're back here every weekday at noon Eastern time, live on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcast. For Zach Burke, keeping us on the air, I'm Cam Stewart. We'll see you tomorrow on The Cam Show.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internext.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Tusains, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.